Welcome to Next Week on the Trading Floor. I'm your host here on Wealthion, Andrew Brill, and we're here to help you keep and grow your money. Next Week on the Trading Floor was developed to explore current trading ideas, market trends, and opportunities to watch. It's real-time insight to help you make informed decisions in the ever-evolving financial markets. And in conjunction with Market Rebellion, we'll give you picks that will help you in the week ahead. Now, I'd like to welcome back Jon Najarian of Market Rebellion. Jon, nice to have you back with us this week. Jon, let's start here with Nvidia. It's now 2 weeks since the stock split. It went on a roll, going up about 17% since the split, but is now coming back to earth.
Yeah, well, Andrew, Nvidia, it's all about AI. I mean, this stock rocked to the upside after that 10-for-1 stock split. Now, was that the primary driver? It did make the stock accessible to a lot more investors. We all know that when you do a 1-for-10 stock split, you're going to have 10 times as many shares at 1/10 the price. So basically, nothing changed. It's the same thing, by the way, when you do a reverse stock split. And people are doing that. I'll touch on it in a sec. But when you're doing a stock split, a traditional stock split, it's because your share price has run to a point where it is unattainable for some people to be able to trade it, invest in it, and so forth. Classic example, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's per share, folks. One share, a single share, will set you back more than the most expensive home in 90% of America. That's the way that stock operates. And Warren Buffett has no intention of cutting that one. So they have a baby Berkshire that trades at a fraction of that. And even that is pretty expensive. But these days, with these trillion-dollar monsters like Nvidia and, for instance, an up-and-coming trillion-dollar monster like Broadcom, symbol AVGO, you've got people that are doing these 10-for-1 stock splits because an $800 stock, a $1,300 stock is just too difficult, again, for most people to trade, to invest in, and so forth. And it's not just for the investor class that the board of directors decides to do these stock splits. They do it because of their employees as well, because as you might imagine, some of these employees can become crazy rich through their stock ownership plans. Good for them. But the access for them trading out of these shares, hedging these shares, all that sort of stuff is just as difficult as it is for Joe and Jane, who have never worked for Broadcom, never worked for Nvidia. So they do these stock splits to make the stocks more attainable, more easily hedgeable, and so forth. Now, reverse stock splits are pretty much the opposite. We've seen that with the likes of, Virgin Galactic, for instance. Now, this was a stock that people were big believers in, even though it just took people to the just under outer space, if you will. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos's other company, along with Elon Musk's SpaceX, can both take you out into space. But Virgin Galactic doesn't have the ability to even take you out into space. And the stock has fallen and fallen and fallen to where it's under $1. Well, it's going to get delisted from the exchanges if it doesn't trade back up over that $5 level. And so what they do is they do a reverse stock split, which is the exact opposite, Andrew, of what Nvidia is doing. A 1-for-10 stock split means, like I said, 10 times as many shares at 1/10 the price. So if you run that the opposite direction, if you've got a 33-cent stock and you'd like to make it a $3.30 stock, you're doing a 1-for-10 reverse stock split, in which case you're going to get the stock price 10 times higher, but you're going to have a significant different move than Nvidia with 10 times as many shares. Nope. 1/10 as many shares. So two different ways of looking at stock splits. One, the traditional stock split, the other, a 1 for 10 or even a 1 for 30 to get the stock back up over a minimum listing level are things that people do out of both desperation and the desire to keep that stock listed on the big exchanges rather than going to bulletin boards and so forth. Additionally, there are a lot of firms, hedge funds and endowments and things like that, where they have a mandate to not trade stocks that are under $5 a share. Is that a law? It's not a law, but a lot of people adopt that, and they simply will not trade a stock that isn't at least $5 a share. So several reasons why these reverse stock splits are very popular, and people are out there soliciting from their board of directors an opinion that lets them do a 1 for 10 or a 1 for 30 reverse stock split, which is what Virgin Galactic is going through.
Jon, what about some of the other stocks that are linked to the artificial intelligence craze, as we'll call it?
Now, as far as some of the other things that we were watching this week, AI is part of everything. AI, whether it's Nvidia, whether it's Broadcom, which any chip stock really that is involved in a data center could be part of AI. Certainly chips and DRAM, dynamic random access memory, things like Micron are very big in data centers. But additionally, you've got ARM Holdings, ARM, that is very much a part of these data centers. You've got Elon Musk talking about super microcomputer, SMCI, SMCI. And why do they care about that? Well, because both Dell and Supermicro, they handle a lot of the rack systems that go into these data centers. Because when they say cloud, folks, think data center. It just means it's not your data center. It's a cloud that is accessed through the net, whether it's a direct connection or otherwise, to basically let people not have to have all of those racks of servers and a clean room and all the rest of it like we used to have. So instead, they're more or less shared in a data center. And Elon Musk said that Dell, DELL, as well as Supermicro are two of his choices for XAI. Now, the X in front implies, of course, that Elon Musk loves X, and the AI, artificial intelligence, that's his competitor to ChatGPT, which he was one of the founding members of, along with Mr. Sam Altman and so forth. These are folks who are experimenting and moving to higher and higher levels of artificial intelligence, which, as I've already said, requires a lot of power in the data center. That power is drawn from everything, folks, from natural gas, which is like instant on power. When you don't have enough power and you have a coal fire plant, it is taken over by natural gas, because natural gas, you can turn that on and start boiling water and turning turbines immediately. Similarly, if you have solar, wind, or even geothermal, in some cases, those aren't available at peak hours. And so they need something that can be instantly turned on. And 9 times out of 10, maybe more, that is natural gas. Now, Pete was on last week with Maria Bartiromo talking about the thirsty AI, how thirsty it is for power. And it's somewhere between 11 and 17 times the power that's drawn from a normal internet search. So when you ask instead ChatGPT is drawing a massive amount of power to do that search, to do that, to write that paragraph, to produce that play, to produce that film, to actually do a video for you that's all done by artificial intelligence. That's a massive pull of power. And most grids will soon be strained all the way to their breaking point by that. So how do you deal with that? Well, in my opinion and Pete's opinion, you're going to have an awful lot more on the nuclear side to basically fulfill that demand for power. So we've talked about Nvidia, we've talked about AI and the power that's necessary for it. And I think it's also reasonable that we talked about stock splits and so forth, because we're seeing so many of them just recently. Everything from the Nvidia 1 for 10 to the inverse or reverse stock split, which would be Virgin Galactic, for instance, SPCE. So those are a few of the thoughts that we had on New to the Trading Floor, what happened on the trading floor this week and so forth. Those are some of the things that we were thinking about. I'll leave you with the rest of it, Andrew, and say we look forward to seeing you guys after the 4th of July holiday.
So there you have it. Jon and Market Rebellion is basically watching all things AI. They're also keeping their eye on some of the power suppliers that are building the platforms to supply the power so that AI can provide all of us with the information we need. A couple of names that they've thrown out in the past: Palantir, who provides a lot of AI to military applications, and Cameco, which supplies the power with which AI functions. Thank you for watching Next Week on the Trading Floor. We hope you enjoy the insights and forward-looking information from Jon and Market Rebellion. If you need help being financially resilient, please head over to Wealthion.com and sign up for a free, no-obligation portfolio review with one of our registered investment advisors. If you want to find out more about options trading, head on over to MarketRebellion.com. And remember to follow us, Jon and Market Rebellion, on social media for the latest news and information to help you invest wisely. If you could like and subscribe to the channel, we'd greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can find out when we post new videos to the channel. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week on the trading floor.